work accelerating the consciousness of humanity every single day. This is Angel Ribo from the US, known here in the business world as the CEO confidant, and known in Latin America as the president and co-founder of the Wisdom for Foundation. And yet again, we are with Judy Machado. Hi, Judy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you again. Such a pleasure to be here with you again. I missed you. It's been 2 weeks since I haven't been here with you, sharing an energy and talking with others. It's so exciting to be back. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Exactly. So actually last week I was traveling, and I was traveling in Mexico or to Mexico. So it was obviously a very nice experience. As you know, the name of this show is Reality Check on the Planet, Living Without Fear. And yeah, I saw a lot of fear in Mexico, unfortunately, right? Because they have this, traffic lights system, and they are the worst of the worst case is the red light, right? And not right now they are at the second level, which is orange level, orange light, right? And every single person, unless they are like either sitting on a restaurant, right, sitting somewhere, or they are in their own homes or their own hotel room, you have to be, wearing the covering all the time. So that obviously makes, I mean, you have to go on the street. If you want to walk on the street, if you want to do that, you still have to wear it regardless of how the weather is, regardless of how many people are out there. And people, tell you, people remind you all the time, and you go to a mall and there's a lot of people just going around, just checking on you, checking on the face covering all the time, But, regardless, I would say that they live, compared to other countries in the world, and probably, we both know a lot of countries in the world that they are still enforcing the face covering. They're living it pretty happily just because, I think Latin America is indeed a place where people live with less, I would say, just less judgment. I would say that. So in general, people live more like, they respect each other much more. And I think that even though there's the enforcement, right? I think that people in general live happily, and they respect each other, and people never come to you and tell you, people typically don't come to you and tell you, hey, use the face covering or whatever. It's typically someone from, it's going to be like private security, or it's going to be, police, or it's going to be, kind of law enforcement kind of people that do that. So, but yeah, I mean, for me being in Texas and living in Texas, where the face coverings were actually prohibited in March in 2021 by the governor. So it was kind of obviously it was a kind of a little bit of a shock. And for those who are traveling and who are, planning to go on trips using airplane, obviously during the flight, you are constantly reminded that you have to put the covering on top of your nose, and and it's just forget about it, and you want to breathe, right? So you but anyway, that's what's going on in the world. And so I had to take obviously a couple of flights, and both flights obviously the face covering was mandatory, and the flight attendants were all the time on top of you, all the time. And it was funny because both flights were half empty, literally half empty. So at one point I was like 2 rows or 3 rows, like separate from the closest row ahead of me or behind me. But I was reminded of, so I mean, it's fascinating what's the lack of common sense, and it's like the definition of a virus. In case a scientific group was able to isolate it, it's amazing how the definition of a virus can change from country to country and from people to people, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of a summary of what I was living in that trip that I went to in Mexico. So how are things in Canada? How are things going?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. They called an election, and I think it's the 20th, which is coming up soon, because I think, what day are we?
Monday?
Yeah, Monday is the date. So this sudden election was called, which has kept things a little bit quiet on the front, of course, as we know, of course, it would be quiet because it's the focus is on all the different candidates. And then the expectation is that things will go a little crazy again once whatever happens on the 20th. But it's been interesting because, just observing a few things here and there. There's a lot of discontent with, very loud discontent with the current prime minister, who is very angry when he speaks about people who he believes are not following orders. So it's interesting. And then there are other groups who are talking about, that they're going to enforce other things or not enforce other things. So it's interesting to see all that, and knowing that all that is just all part of, what's happening. It's been interesting. And so even myself thinking, I have some friends. I have a friend who moved to the Dominican. As we have a friend, Amar, who we interviewed a few weeks back. He moved to Nicaragua. And I have another friend, their entire family, he has 2 little girls, moved to the Dominican. And he's posting all the time, this beautiful conscious community out there, this conscious school, conscious community, just so beautiful. He's more in the interior in the Dominican, found this little village where they're building this out. And so that's been so cool to see. And in terms of me going through, wow, that exists, is that something that is calling to me, and checking in often, and also feeling the nothingness in that answer. It's really interesting. Just this space of just be where you are, and just be, and hold that space, that higher energy and that vision for what this is all creating, right? That chaos and all this grossness is creating this transformation. And so it's kind of like, oh my goodness. On one side, there's a bit of a pressure around what's coming, right? Who knows? I mean, we look at things like Australia and France, and it's just like, it seems like out of this world, what's happening out there. And then wondering if that's what's coming here. But again, it's not focusing on the wondering of what. It's being, the messages I keep getting is stay present. It's so beautiful right now. The weather's gorgeous. It's fall. It's, we have really, there's a perception of what freedom is, right? And so that's sort of what I'm sort of coming in and out of all the time, right? It's that figure 8 backwards of, oh my God, look what's happening. What's going to happen every next? And then, oh my God, stay in the space, hold that energy high, focus on where we want to be. Don't sort of give into that consciousness, because the more we think about it, more we create it. And then, oh my God, but what if it could be such a major difference? Like, for example, I think it's on the 20th, they've announced that anyone who has not been, doesn't have this, is no longer allowed in the non-essential. So inside the restaurants, the gyms, all that stuff. So again, it's like you're over here going, what's that going to be like? And then over here going, okay, hold the space. It's still all great. Like we're just holding the space. This has to happen. Of course, it has to be so segregating crazy for us to get to a place where we're all on our knees going, how can we create something different from a place of pure, delicious love and unity? And things have to fall really, like in a really difficult and painful way, even more so than what's happening now. And so knowing that has to happen, it's like, okay, how can the conversations I have with myself is how can I continue to hold that space for myself, for my family, even for humanity? Because the more we can hold that space, right, as we all know, as we talk about every time we have this beautiful journey together here, is how do we stay in the space of the consciousness of what we wish to create? So that's been my journey, is sort of this kind of woo, which is normal, right? We're human. This is going to happen. Our mind's going to go over here and go, what? And then we're going to go over here and go, pure bliss, love. Yes, I feel it. And then, oh my God, what's happening? And it's this constant journey. And I think that's why these conversations are so beautiful. That's why, whatever we're listening to, audios, I just love certain programs on Gaia. There's certain ones I listen to over and over again. Meditating is one of the best things. Just for me, it used to be a lot of guided meditations, and I love that too. And it may be something that's perfect for anyone listening. and we go again through these journeys of what we are enjoying. And at the moment, the silence for me is where I'm experiencing a lot of the magic. And it's been incredible. So yeah, interesting times, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And also, obviously, every time there's an election, although it's a very, let's say, very low vibration kind of thing that's happening in the world, right? I mean, the ideas of the elections is we as people, right? We, the people, to be able to elect who do we think is going to be helping us, more trustworthily, right? If I can say that, to basically take care of us, because at the end of the day, who we elect, they are there to work for us and with us, and not the other way around. But since like a couple of years ago, I like to say always, I like to remember people of a sentence that was made famous by Stalin. Obviously, Stalin is not a very good example of someone that was really taking care of their population in general. But anyway, you can read about him. But one of the most famous sentences or statements that he made was that the real power of a population, the real power of a country, does not reside on the people that vote, but rather on the people that count the votes.
Yes.
The people that count the votes. So every single, as everything else that's happening in the planet for the last 16 to 18 months, I would say that elections, obviously, that suddenly called elections, right? They're just part of the whole thing.
Yes.
They're just part of, this whole thing that's happening. And at the end of the day, it's part of our evolution.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important. I remember when I got to the hotel where I was last week in Mexico, right? So the rules were extremely strict and inside the hotel. So I couldn't, literally, Mr. Ribo, they are very, very respectful. Mr. Ribo, you have to keep your mask. Let me tell you something. I'm such a, loving and caring. As you know, I speak with everybody and I become friends with everybody.
Yes.
After the second day, I had become friends with everybody, all three people, the three different shifts in front desk, and then with the people at the restaurant, and then with the people that were the security guards in the entrance. I had become friends with everybody. And without noticing, I wasn't wearing my mask any longer. I just didn't remember it. They did not remind me one single time.
Yes.
They did not remind me one single time. Right. And so what I'm trying to say is that I think that at the end of the day, the human being is able to recognize. The human being is able to recognize what can be dangerous and what cannot be dangerous in reality. And with love and care and genuinely connecting with other human beings, it's just what we have to do. It is just what we have to do. And, obviously, they are also, I remember, obviously, hotels are like what? The prices of the rooms are like a third of what it was before. And hotels that used to be 100% right now are at 20%, 25%, 30%, right? And obviously, they are there, and they still have a lot of free time. Let's say, there's a lot of things not happening, so they kind of join. So it was very funny one time, this hotel, the restaurant and events and the lobby and the front desk are all very close. So I remember one time going downstairs from my room, and they were all talking together, like having a huddle, kind of thing.
Yeah.
At some other points, maybe the manager would have called off everybody and but it was so nice. I really, that I said, no, don't go to the front desk. Don't worry, I'll wait. You just finish your conversation. Actually, I went to the bar and I had the conversation with the chef, and with everybody was there meeting. And that's so nice. That's so nice. That's exactly the kind of human connection that is really happening today, besides what other people might tell us. And I have a premiere actually to announce to you. It's not something new, because that comes from a worldwide communication and PR agency, but it's very relevant, and that's why I wanted to share this with you today and with the audience. There's a company called Edelman, Edelman. Probably you've heard of it. A lot of people in the audience probably have too. They're a huge PR and communication company in the world. Every year they conduct a survey worldwide to literally tens of thousands of people, asking them, who do they trust? And then they compare, right? It's a wonderful report. It's a wonderful report. And, as I am, I always work at the C-level, and I always download this kind of, I always go to these large consulting firms and system integrators. I always go and see what the reports that they publish. And this company is so famous, I download it every year because I wanted to know more. And I did that recently, okay? So I would say there are two sectors that have been dramatically, let's say the people dramatically trust less than years before, that last year compared to last year. Okay, so this survey showed this. The two sectors that the company trust less, and again, it's not a politically biased survey. It's just asking tens of thousands of people worldwide. So the number one institution that the people in the world trust less is governments and politicians. Okay. Dramatic drop. Okay. And regardless of whoever is trying to impose certain rules and policies and guidelines, people are not dumb.
Yes.
And these worldwide, again, tens of thousands of people being surveyed, they say, I trust less in the government, I trust less in the media.
Yes.
Okay. And one thing, and the institution that they trust more than before, okay, that's very interesting. And obviously there's a lot of thought about or behind it, is the institution that people in general trust dramatically more than the year before is companies, is businesses, right? Because their security, their personal security, their personal safety, in order to feel safe, they trust more in the company that is giving them a salary, is giving them an employment.
Yeah.
The employment. That doesn't mean the leaders, okay? That doesn't mean the company leaders. It means the businesses, as an institution, okay? So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. The second thing that I wanted to share with you regarding that survey, Edelman survey about trust, is one of the questions was, what are you more concerned about, and what are you the most fearful about? Okay. And number one, contrary to what everybody would say, number one is actually my job. So 82% of people in the world are concerned about their jobs.
Wow, 80%.
Concerned, 82% of people responding the survey of these tens of thousands. By the way, those tens of thousands are in countries that they to 83% of the global population. Okay, so those are important countries. 83% of the world population. Okay, obviously that was a sample among those countries. Okay.
Yes.
So 82% of people are concerned about their job, and 50 something percent are fearful of losing their job. Okay, that's about their job. That's number one. I forgot about number two and number three. Okay, so let me tell you that number four, and it's not number one, it's not number two, it's not number three. So number four is COVID, right?
Yes.
And the percentage is interesting, very interesting. Number four, okay, very, very interesting. And it's, I think it was around people concerned about COVID, it's like 50%, and people fearful about COVID is 30%. Okay, so just put that into perspective, okay? So one thing is what we hear every single day from many different sources, and then something else, what the people really think and people really believe. And the number five, so after COVID, number five, and the percentages are very similar, if not the same.
Yes.
People are concerned in the fifth position of that survey about losing their freedom.
Wow.
At the same level, almost at the same level as being infected by whatever. And at the very same level, 30-something% are fearful of losing their freedom. So this is exactly what's going on in the world, right? And this is an independent source. Again, I'm sure that they serve so many They serve so many, mainstream companies, and they serve so many large corporations that they have no reason to bias themselves their own survey to show this. So I really like to read that. That was really, when I saw that survey, I really immediately thought of you and thought of our show, Reality Check on the Planet.
Yeah.
Where can we find a better reality check on the planet than the Edelman report on trust?
Right.
What do you think about what I told you?
You know what is so exciting? I'm actually filled with excitement and joy, because that shows that there is the level of awareness of people before this global situation started a year and a half ago. People were like literally zombies, and for the most part, and just listening to, whether it was the media or whoever we were told to listen to, and these were the authorities, and there's still some of that. But those numbers show that people are like, wait a minute, I'm not quite sure about that anymore. To have it number 4 or 5. I mean, oh my goodness, that is so exciting. So we see, this is a perfect example of the shit and the chaos that's going on that so many people are so afraid of, is the answer to the awakening. It's the answer to the expansion. That's why these levels of consciousness, right? There's different levels of consciousness. Some of them, the very lowest level, like shame, fear, they can't be eliminated because they're necessary, because they help everyone else to evolve, right? So that's why we have duality in this world. We have duality because how do we know what light is if we don't know what dark is? And so there's people playing these different roles, co-creations. And as we become more aware, we go, oh, okay, I see why that's happening. I'm going to step aside here and not even judge it anymore. I'm just going to go, oh, it has to be that way. And it excites me to see that so many people, such a huge percentage, is becoming more aware of that. And can now start to go, oh, okay, hang on a second. Maybe I could choose to watch something else instead of the news, right? Maybe I'll watch something interesting. Maybe I'll watch a really cool documentary on nature and animals and mushrooms and all this stuff that is becoming so fascinating. It used to be like, oh, that's so weird. Why would I watch a documentary on animals? Now it's like, mesmerizing. Like every time I watch some of these documentaries, I'm just like, what? Mushrooms? Like, I had no idea these fungi and mushrooms could do these things. It's like we're awakening to the magic that is everything, and especially in nature. And that's exciting. I'm so glad you shared that with me. And it's just a perfect example and proof that it's working. Like all the shit and the chaos is, it's all gross and happening over here and bad, but yet it's helping to shift more of the world into a place of, wait a minute, let me just think twice about what I'm going to watch today, or let me just think twice about what I'm going to listen to or hear, because I'm now aware. The first step in shifting your consciousness is becoming aware and acknowledging, which is what those people did. Those people acknowledged that those are their answers. They acknowledged it, they brought it to life. And then the next step is to change their belief. And when they change their belief, that's when consciousness is expanded for them. Because we know patterns exist, right? They're constantly existing because of our beliefs. And when we have the same belief, we're so tight, no, this is my belief, this is my belief, this is my reality in the universe will continue to share and bring to us events and people and opportunities and things like that to substantiate our belief. So we're on this pattern. But the moment we can go, wait a minute, oh my God, I'm acknowledging that maybe there's another thing happening here. Oh, now I'm open to a new belief. Now I have a new belief, new reality, new level of consciousness. And that's what these things are creating. As crazy as they are, they're creating. And that makes me feel really good, because it reminds me, I was talking about this happening, right? Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? To, oh my God, live in, hold that vision of the future. And it reminds me that in this space here, that, it has to be in Earth. This is what we're here for. We're here in Earth School, and the duality exists in Earth School at the 3D level. And so how can we, when we become aware of it, it can no longer be a suffering. It's more like, okay, this next thing is happening. this next thing that seems so challenging and scary is happening, but I know it's for my evolution. So I welcome it. I welcome it and I surrender to how this is going to evolve for me, because I know it's here to help me evolve.
Exactly. Right on, Judy. Exactly. By the way, in the beginning of the conversation, I saw you with Goddess Temple Cacao, right? Do you have it with you?
I do.
Look at what a beautiful mug, by the way, or cup. Yeah, this is what is. Yeah, what? Say it again.
Handmade in Peru.
Wow.
During our last retreat. Yeah. How beautiful is this? Look at the inside.
Oh
the outside's been painted. I mean, so beautiful.
It's very nice. It's really, really nice. Very beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. Well, why don't we do like a couple of minutes of, just try to be in sync and in meditation with the cacao and we finish the show today on that note, Judy.
Let's do that. So let us invite this beautiful master plant medicine into our awareness, for it to take us into its awareness, its higher consciousness, and to do what it does, which is to teach us, to open our eyes, to open our mind, to open our hearts to the powerful, divine, sovereign being that we are. The remembering of that. That is exactly why we're here. That is everyone's purpose and mission, is to remember who we are. And these plant medicines are here to help us to remember that. And so I wish to set this intention for all of us today, whether you have the cacao or not, you're part of this beautiful conversation and intention. Come with us, be with us, bring us into this expanded space. We welcome change. We welcome new beliefs that come from a higher consciousness, from this expanded place, so that we can all come together, remembering that we are all one, that we're here in this beautiful time to create a whole new earth together. And thank you for helping us to remember that and to guide us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't have the Goddess Temple Cacao with me today, but I'll make sure I have it next time. So thank you very much, Judy, as usual. It's a pleasure to be able to really help everyone watching us about, what's going on in the world, have different perspectives. And this is a meeting point. This show is a meeting point. We're not here to judge anybody, but just to be the testimonials of what's going on in the world, and just to try to help everyone, to live a better life and to have a place of joy and happiness. And if people want to know more about the Goddess Temple Cacao, about Peru, about this mug, about you, what's the best time? What's the best way, the best place?
Yes, Goddess Temple Cacao, Instagram, Facebook, website. Come and find me there. It would be a pleasure if you have a question or anything. GoddessTempleCacao.com or Goddess Temple Cacao, Instagram or Facebook.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Obviously, this is your home. Thank you for being in Expansion Network and helping everybody accelerate the consciousness of humanity. Absolutely. Thank you. And everybody that's been here with us today. Again, this is Angel Ribo from Dallas, Texas, from the US Expansion Network. Thank you for being with us today. I'm sure that you have enjoyed this conversation. I'm pretty sure you have learned something new today. Lots of things happening in the world. And, we bring an additional point of view that we think that it can help you. We hope to see you soon in our next show next week. Take care, okay? And take it easy. See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful weekend.